Yeah, I mean,
You know what?
I'm still feeling Sunday, Chris. Still feeling it.
At least me and you
Yeah,
are still here.
we're still right here.
I don't know about the Panthers right now. But Chris Lea and Dennis Cox, we're right here.
Let's get this sucker started.
Get dialed in, Panthers fans. Here comes an in-depth look at your team. Exclusive interviews, locker room insight.
Ready?
Let's huddle up.
Let's just do it, okay?
For Panthers Playbook, driven by Carolina Ford dealers. Here are your hosts, Dennis Cox and Chris Lea.
Welcome back to another episode of Panthers Playbook. That's Chris Lea, Dennis Cox here with you. By the way, thanks to everyone who watched our last episode right after the game on Sunday. Literally almost 700 comments in that YouTube video alone. 700 nearly in that video alone. We'll dive into that here real quick. But Carolina Ford Dealers is our sponsor for Panthers Playbook. Wherever you go, whatever you do with the power and technology of a Ford F-150 on your team, it's game on. See your Carolina Ford dealer today. And Chris, looking at that comment section, the big question is Bryce. The big question is Bryce, and it's a major question, and the questions are justified because, man, bro, we were hoping to see, okay, like the progress, the turnaround. Saw none of that. If anything, it looked worse.
It felt like a continuation from last year, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate part because you want to see him step up. And look, I wouldn't call ourselves Bryce apologists. I think we just kind of kept it real. Everything around him was bad last year. And I think it's unfair to ask a rookie quarterback to come into the NFL and start raising a team up immediately and, despite everything that's bad around you. Like, you have to be a truly, truly special individual to do that.
Yeah.
Which is also why, like, I don't take away from CJ Stroud. And yes, the Texans were bad, but it was a better situation that he went to.
Look at him now. But I think that's also where I think that's also where a lot of the vitriol and anger is. It's like, wait, we gave up so much to go get Bryce Young. You're supposed to be the franchise changer. That's the thing. With 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and DJ Moore, you're supposed to be that.
It took Peyton Manning a while.
And he hasn't showed us one glimpse, like one glimmer of hope where he is that.
It took Peyton Manning a while. Like, we didn't see the Peyton Manning that we know now as the Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play until midway through his second year, maybe the beginning of his third year.
But at least he showed you flashes in that first year. Yeah, a ton of interceptions, but at least he showed you glimmers and flashes of what he could be.
We didn't get flashes last year from Bryce?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
So here's the thing that I'm still on with this, and I'll never give this up. And this could be, I could be super wrong in this, and I'll take it if I'm wrong. Only him and Justin Herbert have started their first 11 games completing 20 or more passes in the NFL. No other quarterback has done that. And so with a line that was letting everybody through, like there was literally no security. It was like, oh, you want to come through defensive end? Come by. You want to sack our quarterback? Go for it. We're not stopping you. Like, that's literally what it was. And you also had receivers who weren't catching, or if they did catch the ball, would somehow or another be in bounds, but twist their body to where they were out of bounds, so it wasn't a catch. Like, he had some bad things around him that wasn't about him.
Sure.
And it felt like he got spooked. And Dennis, here's an observation that I had.
Okay.
Thought about this. Frank Reich was fired after 11 games, so essentially after week 12, because there was a bye week like around week 7 or 8 or something like that.
Something along those lines.
And I mentioned the 11 games. Now, that means that Bryce, of course, he didn't start the Seattle game. So that would have been the game after Frank Reich would have been the last time that he threw, or that was the end of the streak, I should say, for 20-plus passes for your first 11 starts. After that, he pretty much took a nosedive to the end of the season, besides the Green Bay game where he just balled out, right?
Yeah.
And it got me
the one game. The one
game. And then the way he started on Sunday, and it got me thinking, did Frank Reich know how to hide the the bad things about Bryce Young? Did he see it early? And the things that we were complaining about on this very show last year, all of the screen passes, the passes behind the line of scrimmage, all the short passes within 10 yards or more. And then all of a sudden we see Andy Dalton start that Seattle game, and he's do like
all over
it looked like a whole different part of the playbook was available to Andy Dalton. Did Frank Reich know something?
Yeah, maybe.
And hold that back. That's just a question. Just a thought. But then I come back to Bryce Young is still the guy who was the number one recruit, quarterback recruit in his high school class coming out of modern day high school. You don't go to modern day high school and become a number one quarterback in the nation and not ball out. You don't go to Alabama and not ball out. But then that got me thinking about something else, Dennis Jamil Cox.
Go on. Talk to me.
You remember a few weeks ago when Dan Morgan said, you know what, we're looking for dogs, and dogs aren't necessarily the 5-star guys that came in and had everything handed to them. Sometimes guys have to go through some adversity. Carolina Panthers, probably the first time that Bryce Young has had to really go through some adversity on the field. We're not talking about off the field, but you went to modern day high school. You got all the best talent in the state of California. They can afford to go get anybody that they want.
They got the resources.
You go to Alabama. You can go afford to get anybody that you want, the best from all around the nation.
Yep.
Then you get drafted to the Carolina Panthers. And now for the first time, you're not in a situation where you have the best at your level. How do you handle that? So has Bryce Young been hidden this entire time?
Maybe.
Or is he learning how to go through adversity and it's hard for him right now? Because at the end of Sunday's game, he looked soulless in his eyes, man.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm wondering if that guy has ever been there or if that guy was there and he's just not right there now. So either way, those are two things we need to figure out, and we need to figure that out fast.
Oh, yeah. They got to figure it out real fast, and he himself has to figure it out real fast because guess what? If he doesn't figure it out, we've seen in the NFL, 2 years, they'll move on from you. Doesn't matter what the resources they put in. They'll move on. They'll move on real fast. Hey, you know what? We get a cap hit, whatever it is. We'll turn that page real fast.
I mean, Quinn Ewers looking real good right now.
Hey, Cam Ward. Hey, I don't know. You tell me.
Cam Ward's looking real good right now.
But here's the thing, and I think I know a lot of Panthers fans are calling for Bryce to get benched. And I think the reason why they're saying Bryce should get benched is because they're saying he's not the guy for this team. Now, new coaching staff, circumstances, and all that stuff are different. You and I have said it. No more excuses for the guy. Yeah. He needs to figure it out right now. But maybe that's the problem. You mentioned, Chris, is that he had so much good around him that he was elevated by everyone else. That's the thing. I know you're vegan. You like tofu, right?
I love it.
What does tofu do? It takes on the flavor of whatever's around it, right?
Oh,
takes on the flavor of whatever's around it.
You are vegan chefing right now.
Exactly.
Dog.
That's what I'm doing. He's taking on the flavor.
Tofu.
He is tofu. He's taking on the flavor of what's around him. He doesn't accent or elevate the flavor of anything else around him. He only absorbs what's been around him. Maybe that's the case with Bryce. Maybe that's the case with Bryce Young. He has to have everything around him be good, and therefore he can be good. He wasn't drafted to be that. He's drafted to elevate, to be the main centerpiece of the dish.
And because the Carolina Panthers are lacking in seasoning, we're just getting bland, wet tofu.
That's it.
Bro,
that's it.
Cooking.
That's
the
it.
end of the podcast right there.
That's it. That's it. That's all it is.
We'll see y'all Sunday.
That's it. That's it. That's all it is. And that's the major question that they have to figure out as the Carolina Panthers. And again, people that are calling for him to be benched are saying that he's not the guy. If the Carolina Panthers bench him at any point during the season,
it's done.
That's an organizational decision saying that he's no longer the dude and they're moving on to something else next year. They have to figure that out at some point this year. Is he the guy?
Yeah.
If he's not, you're moving on. If he gets benched this year, it's because the organization's done.
I had that exact conversation with somebody earlier today where they were just like, I think they need to bench him. And I'm like, no. Because if you bench him right now or anytime during the season, if you bench Bryce Young, that is the signal that Bryce, it's over.
It's done.
You are now in that Jamarcus Russell, Josh Rosen, like you're in that territory now. Almost Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, like Zach Wilson. You're in that you're in that territory right now where you're one of the top, drafted quarterbacks, and all of a sudden, if we bench you, that means that it's done. So you can't go to the red rifle right now without trying Bryce. And I say this, even if it's really bad, you got to give him at least 10 weeks. So through the Germany game, and if
up to the bye week,
if it hasn't gotten better until then and we get through the Germany game and we come back, then Bryce, it's been good having you here. You're positive. I like you as a person. I know that you'll do well and all that, but it's over. And we got to look towards the future. Red Rifle, you're stepping in. Hopefully we can sign you on a 1-year bridge deal so that next year, whoever we draft doesn't have to come in and start week 1.
Yeah.
Let the Red Rifle take it. And then eventually let whoever's coming in take it from there.
I mean, if things are really bad, you can just keep playing Bryce and just go for that number 1 overall pick that way. I mean, that's an option. That's just an option. Or play Jack Plummer. We're trying to go for that number 1 overall pick, Chris.
Yeah, that's true, but you also don't want to be the first 0-17 team that's out there. Though.
Hey, number 1 pick's number 1 pick.
I mean, but still, I think either way, the Panthers are still going to be in the top 5 if things keep going like they're going. But I also want to bring up something else too.
Okay.
When we were talking about preseason games, like the first preseason game, remember it didn't really look that good. It was like, we'll see. Yeah. There was a few flashes, but it was like, we noticed a big step up after when they played the Jets. So they went from the Patriots. It was like, played the Jets. And it was like, what was the main thing that we were talking about on this show was the improvement. Now, this is where Dave Canales is like, we didn't really mention Dave Canales on Sunday, even though by everybody's account, if you lose like that, all 3 phases of the ball, that is coaching.
Sure.
Of course, certain players didn't show up, but ultimately it's not it's coaching. But I think it's too early. I don't want the Panthers be in a situation where they're looking for another coach next year. That is not the thing. But Dave Canales, this is where we see who you are as a coach, and if there's any chances of you being here past 2025. We've got to see improvement from last week to this week. The Saints aren't really one of the best teams in the NFL. Chargers aren't one of the best teams in the NFL. So you have teams that are kind of somewhat on the same level. You have to take a big step up, and that's the part that I'll be looking for, the same way you did from the Patriots to the Jets game in the preseason.
Oh, there's a few challenges for Sunday against the Chargers. One, you're going to be without Derrick Brown, your best player. Like, he's done.
Lord. Speaking of missing seasoning.
I mean, you mentioned after the game, it's like even like Derrick Brown looked like he was getting pushed around. It's like maybe he actually had that meniscus injury and was like playing through it. Like it happened early in the game. Maybe that's the reason why. But you lose him. There's already a revolving door at edge rusher opposite of Jadeveon Clowney. It just continues to roll through. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you and I will suit up Sheriff.
It was a good cup of coffee with you. Bye.
So, yeah, that's where we are right now. And then, by the way, what's something that Bryce Young has struggled with? Setting the protection in front of him. We saw that against the New Orleans Saints. And, there just happens to be Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa as edge rushers. Jesus. Ike Ekwonu, Taylor Moton, get ready.
Well, okay. Now, we haven't talked about this yet, and I don't have it in front of me, but the PFF grades are good for the offensive line. So that's not an excuse.
I know. They're 100% not an excuse, but that's the thing is like you're going to get super tested because again,
Icky was still the weak point of the line.
He was,
but it wasn't. He still had a pretty decent grade, so that's not the excuse.
And let's just hope they don't fall behind 17-0 in the first quarter. And I don't know, try to establish the run game that we've heard about all offseason. Like that's the thing we heard about all offseason. They wanted to run the football. They want to be a run team, play action off of it. That's what they want to be. Can we not fall behind 17-0? Like, can we not throw a interception on the first play offensively? Can we not do that? And I don't know, give yourselves a chance.
The first 2 plays from scrimmage need to be a run and then like a RPO.
And then a run.
just
a run and a run. Hey, off tackle left, off tackle right, just run the football.
No, I'll throw in an RPO. So just in case if they give you a look and the pass is better, but run is the first option. Like, Like, bro, like we need to establish that run because I need to see what's going on with Chuba. I need to see what's going on with Miles Sanders this year. And Mike Boone is on a 53 now. So we gotta see what's going on with him because one of those guys gotta go once it's time for Jonathan Brooks to come up.
Yeah.
They're not gonna keep 5 running backs
on
the team like that. So I think there's definitely room for a lot of people to step up. And the hard part about the way Sunday went is that we're not talking about one side of the ball. We're talking about all of it.
Mm-hmm. It's all of it.
Just none of it was good at all.
It was the team got embarrassed, and they probably feel embarrassed as they should. But I will say this. We've read the comments from you all that are watching, listening. We greatly appreciate it. We really do. And the level of ticked off from Panthers fan Chris was at a whole other level. And guess what? If we get a repeat this Sunday of what happened against the Saints, I can't even imagine what we're going to feel from Panthers fans.
Here's the part that I'm worried about, man.
What's that?
I went to the NC State-Tennessee game at Bank of America Stadium,
mm-hmm.
and it was legit the first time I've seen that stadium packed out since before the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
I go to most Panthers home games, and even with other teams taking over Bank of America Stadium, it wasn't that packed. We haven't seen that in a long time. Probably, I would say the most attended game that I witnessed was that Washington game with Cam Newton, his first game back.
Yeah.
But even still, that wasn't to the level as things were before the pandemic, before when Ron Rivera was the head coach. You got to come out and protect home field, and even if you still lose, it has to be competitive. You have to have a lead at some point during the game that might even if it's only for a little bit, even if it's only 7-0 for 5 minutes, you got to have that because we can't continue to have Bank of America Stadium empty the way it's been,
or be filled with the other team's fans,
or be filled with the other team's fans.
Yep.
It's going to, no matter what's going on in that locker room, no matter how much they love each other, that's gonna make the morale go low, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Because why would you want to come here? Of course you're getting paid, but why would you want to come here as a free agent when you look out and there's no fans that's going to be out there cheering for you? I'm sorry. There's a lot of people who didn't want to go to Jacksonville for a long time before they got Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why people would rather go to the pool in the second deck at the Jaguar Stadium than to actually go attend and watch the game. They had better things to do in Jacksonville. Let's go down to Orlando and spend the Sunday at Universal Studios, whatever it ends up being. So one, if you're in Charlotte or near Charlotte, please go to the game. But for the Panthers, you got to show up because you got to get home field advantage back, and we've got to get the fan base back into it. That's my main thing, honestly. Got to get the fan base still back into it.
Winning will do it. And guess who's going to be there? You're going to be there, and I'm going to be there. We're going to be right there, Chris. We're going to be right there.
Be right there.
Right there.
We should
this Sunday.
Do a video on the field before the game. Just looking at each other.
Just right here.
It's here.
We're right here.
Hopefully the Panthers will be here.
Hopefully they'll be there too.
Can I bring up one more thing before we close?
Yes.
It's another observation I had.
Okay.
When Ejiro Evero took over the Broncos
in
2022, they came off a year in 2021 where the Broncos had the number 3 defense in the league.
Face-off yards?
I need to go back and look that up.
Okay.
But had a number 3 defense. 2022, he takes over. 2023, he comes to the Carolina Panthers, which, there was some slippage the year before, but Phil Snow's defense was, decent. But pretty much for the most part, you had the same pieces that were there. For the most part, a couple new pieces, but you had pretty much the same defense. So, of course, we talked about the Panthers last year as far as yardage, number 4 in the league. He's inherited 2 good defenses This is his first time as a defensive coordinator where he's had 2 years, a second year with his squad, because he's only been a defensive coordinator. This is his third year. The defense doesn't improve. I think this is a good time to also question Ejiro Evero as a defensive coordinator. You know, he was very highly touted, you know, and, you know, he had a really good year as a pass game coordinator and for the Rams. And he had a, you know, long tenure with the Rams. He had a good, you know, year as a pass game coordinator. 2021 gets the job with Denver in 2022. Whole coaching staff is fired because Sean Payton is coming in. He comes to the Carolina Panthers. 2023 inherits a pretty good defense that had just done well under Phil Snow and Steve Wilkes the year before. And that's what you have. And now that there's turnover and we got your guys that's played for you before, and we got that 9 straight possessions where the Saints scored. I'm not saying anything about him. I'm not making a declarative statement that he's good or bad or whatever, but that's something to look out for and watch. Mr. Evero, your boy's got to respond.
Yeah, he does.
Because now, like, has it been you, or have you just been given the gift of some good defenses and you've benefited from that? Because now you got to really show if you're that guy.
That's true.
I just want to put that out there.
More questions than answers right now, but I don't have an answer for you. Carolina Ford dealers with Ford F-150 on your team. It's game on. See your Carolina Ford dealer today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're going to be there, Bank of America, this Sunday. We're going to have another Panthers playbook for you at Bank of America this Sunday. So make sure you're subscribed. Have that little notification bell ready. Again, leave those comments as well. We appreciate you. We'll see you guys on Sunday.
Bryce,
yo,
are you unseasoned tofu or are you seasoned tofu?